threads and you look for references and stuff, but believe it or not, as actors, because we're freelancers, we literally go from job to job. So it's like you've made a movie and then you make the next one, you make the next one, and especially when you're referencing like things that you made 10 years ago, I barely remember 10 years ago, you know? So often people will remember things in my movies and lines. I'll get people will quote lines, and I'm like, what's that? Or Michael Angarano. Do you guys know Michael Angarano?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's so great. He's so funny and he's so cute. And we were doing this little comedy called The English Teacher, and we had to kiss in it. And so he told the story, I guess, like on Letterman or something, and we kissed, and he said, was that sexy? And I went, yeah, Michael, that was great. You were terrific. Thanks a lot. And he said he wanted to die of embarrassment because he was quoting a line from Boogie Nights. I thought that he would get it. But
Oh my God, that's so good.
I know. So, but back to be serious about your question, I think that everything you do as a person, everything you do as an actor informs your work. It all ends up, but it's not really as direct as you might think. But of course, it's just like life. It's accumulative.
Sure. Hi, Stephen Shaver here for the Boston Herald. I'd like to ask the actors, what was your reaction when you got this script? Because obviously a movie about a woman with Alzheimer's is not what you call going to be a big box office movie. People are going to say, oh, it's going to be depressing. And even though it's a fantastic film, what is your reaction when you see that, and does that factor in when you want to say yes, regardless of the part? Okay, Kristen?
I mean, in this particular situation, I mean, typically no. That, the experience of doing something is always what drives you into. I mean, if you're doing it for the reasons that we do, and I know these three women quite well as actors. Yeah, it's definitely morbid, and it's not like a walk in the park. But sometimes with film, like, it's not just about. It sounds silly, but it can be very important. And I knew for a fact, as soon as I knew that Julianne was playing this part, I knew that she was going to do something important. I knew that this movie was being made so she could do that it would say something. And it was intimidating thinking that it was our job to just hold her up. And considering, I think there's a possibility that the only reason I felt completely driven and confident walking into it was because Wash and Rich hired me, and they know an aspect of this story unlike anyone that I've ever met. So I felt like if they thought that I could do it, then I could. And it's not always about having fun and like making people laugh and like going to the movies to like have a great time. They can really say something, and I think to that.
I feel the same way. I read the book before the script, and I would imagine almost everyone in this room has someone who has been affected by Alzheimer's. And so when I read the book, and I too have grandparents who have Alzheimer's, and we rally as a family to take care of them, and so it touched me deeply. And I felt like this was an opportunity to shine a light on this disease in a way that it hasn't been done cinematically before. So that was a real draw for me, and also, being able to work with Julie. I've known her for a few years, but I've never had the opportunity to work with her, and I really just wanted to sit and watch her do, what she's done, and it's just really spectacular, and, just to be around her and watch and learn and be a part of the whole process, and be a part of the message, as Kristen said, was what was important to me.
I did it for the money.
I'm sorry.
It was such a great script. It was such a wonderful, wonderful script, and such a beautiful book that Lisa wrote. And what she did is that so remarkable is that she presented the disease completely subjectively. What would it feel like? What does it feel like to go through this process? We never get to see that. And Rich and Wash took that novel and made it cinematic in a very, very deceptively simple way, I think. And it was a thrill to be involved in something like that. And I think that's what attracted us to it, the very human nature of the story and that idea that you're watching an individual and a family's kind of journey through this very difficult situation.
It's interesting when you have the story that you know for a fact that if it is done right, that it's gonna be something and everyone's gonna talk about it. If it's done badly, it would have been. Do you know what I'm saying? The alternative is so polarized, so you're like, oh, it's worth it, because if we do it right, then it's gonna be, more important than anything we've done in a long time.
We didn't want Stellars to be a depressing movie. It deals with something very intense and very difficult, but we wanted always to shine a light on the human, the possible connections that people can make, even in the most difficult times, which I think gives the film something just very powerful to say about what it means to be alive.
And I think even through the tragedy, like what I loved watching the movie was the comedic moments that happened, because truly, that's so human. I take care of my grandmother with my parents, and there's some moments that you kind of can't tell. It's such a nice edge of whether it's tragic or absolutely hilarious, and like I feel like that was something, Wash, that you and Richard, it was very important to you to find that kind of humanity in the journey, and Julie as well with Alec, and there's those moments that I think make it very real.